So, this is not a story about the night 6 years ago on a warm August night when my then 16-year-old daughter Camilla, the day after her birthday, was crossing a wide street in a commercial area in Swampscott and was with her friend Holly as they crossed, and it was at a big intersection. Maybe the walk sign said walk, maybe it didn't. Maybe they were in the crosswalk, maybe they weren't. And they were hit head-on by a driver going 30 miles an hour who never saw them until they smashed off her windshield and got thrown 40 feet. And I'm not telling that story tonight. That would have to wait until the theme of the evening is visiting your daughter's friend's parents the night they terminate life support. But I want to talk about a year and a half later when everyone involved in this case convened at Lynn District Court for a hearing where the driver was charged with negligent driving. And everybody was there. So let's see who was there. Camilla was there. She was now 17 and a half. In the year and a half since the accident, she had tried to go back to high school, had dropped out, passed her GED. She pretended to go to community college and dropped out. She pretended to get a job. And by mistake, a few times she got one, but always quit right after that. And not a whole lot was going on for Camilla at the time of this trial. Also present was Jose, her father, my partner of 10 years. The greatest person and the best father in the world that I know, who was sitting in the basement where they had us wait until the hearing started, crying because he really truly felt that he had somehow failed his daughter. So who else was there? Anna, Camilla's mother, was there wearing too much makeup. She was quite pleased that no one there was mentioning that it had been 9 months since she had seen Camilla, since the day that she took Camilla to one of Camilla's many, many doctor's appointments. I should have mentioned that Camilla broke her neck, her shoulder, and both knees. But by the time a year and a half went by, she was really physically much, much better. But her mother hadn't seen her in 9 months since the day she took Camilla to a doctor appointment and ended up calling her daughter a whore and leaving her, abandoning her at a doctor appointment because it was all taking too long. Who else was there? Camilla's friends were there, or at least the ones who had witnessed the accident. That would include her friend Jess, who had never spoke to her again since the night of the accident, but posted the usual horrible, cruel things on MySpace about what a slut Camilla was after the accident. Then there was Kip, her boyfriend at the time of the accident, who broke up with her in the hospital 2 days later. He was there with his parents, who I liked a lot, but they were in the middle of a crumbling marriage, and I recall very dysfunctional that day at court. And also there was Morgan and his mother. I had not met her until the night of the accident at the hospital, when in the middle of all the chaos, she heard I was a lawyer and wanted to know if I could help her because she had about 15 credit card companies who were suing her. Also there that morning was the district attorney, the assistant district attorney. After a year and a half of this pending, I had only met him 2 days earlier. That meeting would not have happened if I hadn't insisted on it, with him arguing that he was very busy 2 days before the trial. But I shamed him into having the meeting. See, I had foolishly thought that there was this thing called trial preparation, where he would want to meet the witness, the victim of the crime, the living victim, and go over what it would be like for her, prepare her for what it would be like to be a witness. But he gave us a half hour and spent the entire time telling us how he didn't really want to take the case to trial, but the police had pursued charges of negligent driving, and now politically he was going to have to take this case. Also there at the court that morning were Holly's parents. They are an amazing, beautiful couple who were grieving terribly. And as we were chatting in the court that morning, they told me a shocking story. See, one of the things going on in the case was that we had been startled to read in the paper a week after the accident that the two girls had smoked marijuana 4 hours earlier than the car accident, as if that was relevant, and that they had been tested in toxicology tests without their consent at the hospital. Well, one of them was dead, but was tested anyway. And the police released that information to the press. And what the mother shared with me that day was that she only learned the day before, and I hadn't known, that the police had lied to us for a year and a half, telling us that the driver had tested negative for drugs and alcohol, but in fact had never been tested because they never got around to testing her. And so we had the hearing. The prosecutor summarized the case for about 2 minutes. The driver asked if she could have time to think about pleading guilty because she didn't want to lose her license. She took an hour with her lawyer to consider it after she had a year and a half to consider it. It was an agonizing hour. She came back and pleaded guilty. And we all walked out feeling very dissatisfied and like we all just needed to go home and take a hot shower.